Wow, I actually have 4 games to talk about. And, drumroll, a win! Alright, welcome back to this week's episode of the Habs Fan Forum. I'm Ben Danke, your host, and here at the Habs Fan Forum, this is where us fans get to have our voices heard. So, let's talk about those Montreal Canadiens. Wow, I actually have 4 games to talk about. This is crazy. I haven't had this in a while, and, drumroll, a win! That's huge! We actually have a win sandwiched between a 7-game losing streak and a 6-game losing streak. The Habs were 1-14 in their last 15 games. So, happy to say I can talk about one where they actually got a W. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about those games, and in honor of the new GM of the Montreal Canadiens, Kent Hughes, I'm going to talk about some player evaluations in these games. And for my fan question of the week, comment down below, let me know how you're feeling. But do you want to see Mike Hoffman moved? I'm going to give you my thoughts later on what to do with Mike Hoffman, kind of what we've been seeing recently and how I see he fits in the bigger picture. But let me know if you want to see him moved and for how much. What do you think they can get for him? All right, let's get into these games. The Habs are on a long road trip through the U.S. All the restrictions in Canada, they can't really play here, so they have a 7-game road trip. They've done 4 of those games. They've played Boston, Chicago, Arizona, and Dallas. They are 1-2-1 in those 4 games, and lucky to even get that, in my opinion. They were pretty thoroughly dominated in probably all 4 of them. Boston, that was barely a game. I mean, to be fair to the Habs, they were coming back off of a long pause, which, I mean, so were the Bruins, but coming back from a long pause, COVID restriction, COVID-19 protocols, injuries, players getting their legs together. They started that game real slow. I think it was like 3-0 out of the gate, and the Bruins never looked back. It did not help that Jake Allen went down after 2 goals, and him going down at the start of a 7-game road trip, that's going to be tough. Next, the Habs moved on to Chicago, where they lost 3-2 in overtime. A little bit controversial of a goal at the end, which it was a really fun game. They started out really slow again. I'm pretty sure Chicago outshot them 13-1. I'm a little biased here because I have Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat on my fantasy, so every power play I was like zoned in, going, come on, score another. If you're going to win big. But nonetheless, I still was hoping the Habs would win at the end. Anyways, an unfortunate ending to the game in overtime with Hoffman just recklessly barreling into Khrushchev and crashing into Montembeault, where the goal was ultimately deemed a goal. Okay, I can see why the goal counted based on it Hoffman caused the crash. The offside, I mean, it's just so subjective. I thought it was offside. They didn't think it was offside. It's a goal. Then the Habs move on to Arizona. What a battle of the basement dwellers. The 2 absolute worst teams in the league. One of them who planned to be this bad. One of them who just was this bad in Arizona versus Montreal. And the Habs showed why they deserve to be the last team in the league. I mean, you kind of at this point, you're like, yeah, we're going for a first overall pick, I guess. But like, I just hate losing. I know you can easily say lose the points and get first overall, but like, I don't like seeing them lose to Arizona, who's a basement dwelling team itself. It's not good. So and 5-2 at that, not even that close. They kind of kept it close until that go-ahead goal of 4-2 near the second. But up until then, it was pretty tight. Then finally, the big win. Montreal takes it over Dallas, although they were hugely outshot. And I think probably, I don't know if they're outchanced. I haven't seen that stat, but they were outplayed a lot of the game. But nonetheless, Montembeault played very well. I think he had 48 saves. And they win 5-3 in Dallas, break that 6-game losing streak, which is great. It was a great game to watch with some of the regulars getting on the board. Toffoli with a goal, Anderson with a goal, Suzuki with a couple assists, Dvorak had a couple goals. Just overall, it was a pretty fun game to watch, even with all the shenanigans near the end. All right, quick word from our sponsors, DraftKings. As a part of Rocket Sports Media and the Hockey Podcast Network, Habs Fan Forum is sponsored by DraftKings. So right now, you can download DraftKings Sportsbook and use the THPN promo code at sign-up and place down a bet of $1. If you place down a bet of $1 and at least one team scores a goal, DraftKings will give you a free $100 of betting credits to use as you will. If DraftKings Sportsbook is not available in your state, that's okay. You can still use the promo code THPN and get some great cash prizes. I'm just going to look at 3 players quickly. We got Hoffman, we got Anderson, and we got Drouin. So Hoffman, power play specialist, goal scoring, lethal shot. Ship him out. He's not helping this team. I don't see the value he brings. He doesn't even look like he plays that hard. I've seen that kind of circulating amongst some Slack channels. But nonetheless, I just don't see a place for him here. Don't know how they're going to get rid of that contract, but get as much value as you can. Maybe, probably not a prospect, but some picks for sure in the higher rounds. Anderson, I know he's not producing at the level we want him to produce at and how he's being paid, but he's just such a strong, unique player, and he definitely, in my opinion, can fit into this team eventually in the long run, 3-4 years down the line. He just has to stay healthy, and I hope they surround him with some players to help develop and teach and mentor as he grows as well. And finally, Drouin. What a classic Drouin week. He gets 3 assists over the last 2 games and some flashes, some nice mitts and some nice passes. Goes nowhere near the net ever. And then, of course, with that Tyler Seguin just kerfuffle at the face-off dot. It's just unnecessary. A very selfish play. I mean, how can you summarize it any better? You get some assists, selfish play. I don't know if they can trade him, but I hope they do. All right, that's it for this week's episode of the Habs Fan Forum. It doesn't get much easier for them with Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota on the docket for next week. If you have any comments, just comment them down below. You can answer the question of the week and talk about your thoughts on Mike Hoffman and what the Habs should do with him. Check out allhabs.net for more in-depth game coverage and reviews. And of course, you can follow All Habs for the best coverage of the Montreal Canadiens. Thanks again for watching. Finally, my name is Ben Danke, and woo! Go Habs go, baby!